Hello everybody and welcome back to the UK Open 2. We are now in round
4?
Yes, round 4. And we actually have a very fun little match for you here. Also your favourite deck.
Well, certainly the deck I've been playing the most recently. We see Invoked ABC being played by Davian McKinley. And that will be up against a Paleozoic frog deck run by Jamie Walkinshaw.
Yes, it's kind of some not massively interesting to do with the Paleozoic apart from a couple of different cards.
Yeah, we see a main deck rivalry of Warlords, particularly for the Spiral match, but we might see that having some effect here against Invoked and ABC. And then, yes, on the other side we have a fairly standard mixture of the two lists for the Invoked, just a very slim line, 2 Meltdowns, 1 Alistair, 1 Invocation, but with some trap cards, which my own build, I didn't choose to use any traps, but might be quite useful here, seeing 4 Solemn counter traps, very strong against Toad.
Good, so we're definitely maybe in for a very interesting match here, so let's take it straight over to the table. And there's the handshake. Right, I believe we actually had the opening hands sent through to us already. Over on Jamie's side, that looks like a... Swamp Frog. Rivalry, Trench Tribute, Fiend Briefing, and I believe that's an Ash Blossom.
Davian playing first here. I think he's just set a Solemn Strike and an Emergency Teleport.
Those are the 2 in his hands, yeah. He does have an Invocation as well.
You see Swap Frog being taken down immediately by the Solemn Strike to prevent anything going on with Ronin Toadin. Close off resources. A very slow start by both players here. I think we see a Soul Charge in Davian's hand.
Yep, that would be the last card in his hand that we can't see there.
But without any monsters being put into play, it's not going to be doing anything for him. He draws a monster for turn. I think that's an A.
Yep. A Assault Core.
1900 attack points. It starts putting in damage pretty quickly.
Set over on Jamie's side of the field is a rival of the Warlords, Trench Tribute, a Fiend Briefing, and I'm not quite sure what the last card is. That would have been his draw for turn.
Okay. So seeing a fairly slow-paced game at the start here. Jamie opting to conserve the Torrential Tribute. Oh, that's a very strong draw.
That is an E-Telly.
So we'll see the teleport here for a Ghost Ogre from Davian.
There's Rivalry.
But shut down by the Rivalry. Obviously, teleport can only summon Psychics, and with a machine already on the field, won't be able to resolve.
Ronin Toadin turns to Grave.
And here we have the setup ready for Totally Awesome, and Jamie is looking in to be in a commanding position.
Nice to see Paleo doing its stuff, if we haven't even seen any Paleo yet.
They were actually remarkably well represented. They're joint 4th most popular deck after Spiral, Pendulum, Magician and Trickstar.
So we do actually have quite a few in. Let's see more, and down comes the Totally Awesome.
As was expected.
Attacks over the A Assault Core.
Puts Davian into a very tough position. I think he had a Supreme King Dragon Darkworm in hand.
That he did.
An Invocation and 1 other spell, that's the Soul Charge. Draw for turn, another Solemn Strike.
Not very helpful here.
No, and the advantage will just keep flowing towards Jamie for every time he gets to resolve that Toad effect.
And yep, he's picking up his cards.
Davian recognises that it's completely unsurmountable at this point and just going straight to game 2.
Ribbit.
So,
side decks.
Have a moment to look over this. On Jamie's side, for the Paleozoic deck, we might see Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit coming in. Given that he's likely to be playing second again, we're unlikely to see the Dimensional Barrier or the Artifact package, as they won't be particularly effective.
See maybe a Dimensional Barrier to start Totally Awesome coming out. We got
from Davian, perhaps, yes, we might see the Dimensional Barriers.
But it's also Skill Drain, Prohibition. Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, but unfortunately he's not playing Totally Awesome in there, is he? Cannot see one.
Don't believe he is.
No. And of course, evenly matched.
Davian also has access to Gamasiel, 2 copies in the side deck. Might be useful to out a Toad if he ends up in that position again.
As we all know, the best way to flatten a Toad is with a Kaiju.
Now, Prohibition's an interesting choice. Presumably that's in the side deck of the ABC player here to deal with Super Agent and the various cards that have their names treated as Super Agent. Do you suppose it might get sided in here? And if so, what would he be using it to shut down?
Well, he knows for a fact that Totally Awesome is going to get played here.
Yes.
So he could call anything that he needs to play to be able to get to that step beforehand.
Yeah, and then it becomes a matter of, do you prohibit the Toad itself, or do you prohibit the Swap Frog as the most useful stepping stone for getting there?
Now, I would suggest more than likely the Swap Frog, simply because although you do stop Totally Awesome, that's fantastic, you're also stopping other plays that you may be able to make there.
Okay. Well, it remains to be seen whether that has actually come in the siding process here, but as players shuffle up for game 2, we'll see what gets drawn.
I have to say, I'm a fan of Sky Cavalry Centuria. I don't know why, I just like the card.
It's a very useful card for outing a resolved threat, but it doesn't immediately put any pressure on the board. We see more and more that to be a strong board presence, you have to have a quick effect on that monster that you've summoned. And Sky Cavalry, it has its battle tricks, but it's not going to interrupt your opponent's main phase in the same way that a Totally Awesome or an ABC Dragon Buster would do.
Yeah. Okay, hands loading in here. Let's see what we've got. So, I can see a Duke Frog, I'm not sure which one that is.
Duke Frog, Ronin Toadin, Storming Mirror Force, Paleozoic Canadia, and a Cosmic Cyclone for Paleozoic player. And Destrudo, Terraforming, B, Ash Blossom, and another Terraforming for the ABC player. That is a very strong opening hand for ABC.
So we've had the Terraforming going at a Dragon's Ravine. Just trying to see what he's put in the graveyard
He's discarded the Destrudo to send the Darkworm, and then he can use his other Terraforming to get himself a magical meltdown here. I'm relatively sure that this setup will get him to a Decode Talker, a Buster Dragon, and an Invoked Mechaba.
That is a formidable field.
Yeah. So if he plays through the same line that I'm expecting to see here, that should be what we see at the end of things. So next up he'll be using his Darkworm from the grave while he controls no monsters, special summons itself for free. We didn't see any hand traps from the Paleozoic player this round, did we?
No, I don't believe we have.
Okay, so it's likely that ABC is going to put himself into a very strong position here. Naturally, there does exist counterplay to possibly a top-decked, evenly matched, but...
Of course. But the thing with Paleozoic, of course, is that it got to go first in game 1. He's going second in game 2, which is not necessarily its strong point, simply because it needs a setup to be able to really do a lot of what he does.
I was under the impression that ABC had gone first in game 1 with a set Solemn Strike.
You are correct.
Just a very weak opening hand.
Yeah, it was a very weak opening hand, but the point is that in game 3, if Jamie doesn't win this, he's getting to go first again, which puts him in a very strong position.
Go first for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. But we see Ancient Fairy Dragon here, searching out the Union Hanger. So he already has a B in hand, so he can search for any piece here, and he'll be able to perform the combo. effect of Ancient Fairy, special summon the C, equip a B from the deck, and that will get him to A. He's just slowly accruing all of the different pieces that he needs. Next, I expect to see a normal summon of the Alistair searching for the invocation. Instead, he's choosing to use his Proxy Dragon. May not be the best choice here, as I believe he's only playing one, and it can be worth saving for later in the duel. He would already have the light that he needed for making the Mechaba with the Ancient Fairy engraved. And we do see Alistair still in hand. He hasn't yet normal summoned this turn.
And there's the Decode Talker.
Interesting. This hasn't gone exactly how I would have played it. But he's still going to take the search here. Normal summon of Alistair. So he will still end on his Mechaba and Dragon Buster. And the Alistair, of course, being returned to hand with the effect of Invocation. Leaving one ABC piece, Alistair, and Ash Blossom in hand, going into Paleozoic first turn. So a very strong opening, and as I say, unless we see an evenly matched here, I think that might be enough to seal it out, even on this very first turn.
Is Jamie just praying? I'm pretty sure I just saw him praying.
He's praying for evenly matched.
Yeah, see, he's done it again. Yes. Did he draw it? I think he drew into Cosmic Cyclone.
Well, he didn't have evenly because he wouldn't have set a monster.
Yeah, it's Cosmic Cyclone, I think, on the top of his hand there.
Did he not have that in his opening hand?
Oh, sure, actually. Oh yeah, he did, sorry. So I saw him draw into that.
Okay, so we see 4 back row here. Will he opt to use the Buster?
Yep.
Discards the B to just start chipping away before they can be activated. Banish a Paleozoic card, and tagging out to get that value straight away. So this is where things can really start to landslide. The ABC player is going to be able to make his way into a Borreload Dragon if he chooses, and still have the tools in the grave to go straight into the next Buster.
ABC is such a fantastic combo deck, just able to drag a huge field from nothing.
It was a Terraforming drawn for turn. Not the most remarkable draw, but it does mean that he has a spell card in hand if he needs to negate one with his Mechaba. So he summons the B that was equipped, and equips an A with another Union Hanger effect to it. At this point he has all the resources in the world. Summons whatever he pleases. Opt to equip the C from his field onto Mechaba. Of course, Mechaba is also a machine, so he can use the effect of C Crush Wyvern, equip itself to a machine.
Oh, just checking there. Not quite sure.
Jamie might have a response to the activation of the effect.
Well, let's see what he can do.
Of course, when C is equipped to Mechaba, Mechaba would be unaffected by trap cards, so if he's planning to use a trap to get rid of it, he'd need to get that in before this resolves.
Okay, he didn't actually have anything there. Mechaba is now equipped.
So we see Alistair, Ash Blossom, and the Terraforming in hand. A also being equipped to the Mechaba. So it's now immune to both trap cards and monster cards. Davian here, possibly considering Link or Xyz plays with his monsters on field. Opts to summon the Alistair to get back that invocation. Playing the terraforming, he may be using this just to thin his deck. At this point, the field spells aren't the greatest of draws, particularly Meltdown. It's complete brick in his deck with only one Alistair, so he'd rather be discarding that. Oh, interesting. He's played the Meltdown. So on his deck list here, he only has one Alistair.
You're right. Is there an effect we're forgetting about?
His opponent now can't respond to the summon of fusion monsters, and the summon of a fusion monster can't be negated, which may be useful.
Yeah.
He may be looking to play around a Solemn Strike.
Wait, the summon of a fusion monster?
I don't know if it's the summon of a fusion monster or just fusion summons.
Let me check.
Because if it was the summon of a fusion monster, it would also protect a Buster Dragon, but if it's just fusion summons, it would only be useful for invocation.
Activation cost effect that includes the effect that fusion summon is summoned to fusion
Okay,
monster.
so it doesn't give any protection to an ABC Buster Dragon.
No.
But it would give some protection to the activation of invocation.
It's an overlay.
Making a rank 4. Might see Tornado Dragon. Oh, Diamond Direwolf. And the A that was equipped will activate at this point, getting him back a monster from the grave. Choosing to get back B by the looks of things.
Is that a Canadian?
And there's a Canadian. That will put Diamond Direwolf face down at this point. Instead, he opts to use Decode Talker and simply tribute away the Direwolf to negate the effect. Likely because he just wants to get the pieces into the grave so that he can summon his next Buster Dragon. He'd rather have them in the grave than stuck under the Direwolf at that point. Here we see the invocation being activated.
Of course, now
Still has light monsters in the grave, so he can put out another Mechaba.
oof.
No traps in his hand. He does stand to be put in an awful position if he finds a Mirror Force here. If we look down the Paleozoic list, we see 2 copies of Storming Mirror Force.
I'm not sure we actually have to worry about. Well, we know that he may not have to worry about that currently, but.
So one of the Mechabas is immune to trap cards, but the other one is either immune to spells or immune to nothing. We see the Storming coming up.
Storming Mirror Force.
So one of the Mechabas is protected here, but the others are not.
Oh, and Cosmic Cyclone.
Chaining the Cosmic Cyclone, he hasn't even got a spell in hand to use the Mechaba effect.
Ouch.
See, at that point I would have myself saved the spell in hand. That's Storming, not Drowning, unfortunately, so they'll all be returned to the extra deck. Even the decode.
Yep.
Even the decode.
Yep, even the decode. Come on.
Maybe,
Come on.
maybe the decode? Maybe?
Come on.
Maybe?
Yep. Go,
Is
go.
the decode going to go back?
Yep. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Jamie just reminded him there, and he set it away.
Excellent.
That wouldn't have been great for Jamie if he'd just forgotten about that. He's just like, oh, where'd that come from?
So Davian isn't in the worst place here because I think he does still have access to a Buster Dragon, unless he's run out of C.
How many C does he play? 2.
He plays 2, and I know that we've seen at least one. But I don't know if he got the other one. No, he's only searching the other one now. So with one banished, he definitely doesn't have the pieces engraved that he needs. I don't believe that he has the means to put it into his grave this turn, but it could help him stabilize next turn. Unfortunately, he'll be fighting through a Totally Awesome as we see Ronin Toden summoned by Jamie here. I think Davian might have just come into some awful difficulties here when he chose not to respond to that Cosmic Cyclone on the sea. Well, he had a Deco Talker up at the time, and
yes.
I think he probably should have sacrificed one of his Mechabas to just prevent that Cosmic Cyclone and keep the one that was protected.
That would have made a lot of sense there.
The one in the central monster zone was dead to the Storming Mirror Force anyway, so at that point, if it had just been sacrificed to prevent the Cosmic Cyclone, he would have at least been able to keep one.
There's Ash Blossom coming down there. That was the response to the Totally Awesome?
Yes, I believe so. You see Davian making a very passive play here, and Toad still being able to convert for value on the next turn by summoning Swap Frog here. Swap effect, finding another material for Ronin Toden, or simply sending another Ronin Toden. And he opts to send the second Ronin Toden. And without even having used a normal summon at this point, there's a lot that Jamie can do to really turn the tide of this. It looked on turn one like Davian was in control, but
he did have an absolutely huge field, and we were even talking about, well, I was basically saying that Jamie may have to even hope on game 3 here, but he's really been able to turn it around and just get back the advantage.
The miss on the Decode Talker, I think, was absolutely pivotal.
Yeah. Davian now only on 2,700 life points.
I was certainly expecting to see this one going to game 3, but we might not have that anymore. So is Davian using the effect of C in the graveyard here? He has done, and summons B from the hand. He is at least able to block the subsequent attacks that would be following that Toad. Going to main phase 2. See, the Duke just changed to defense position there.
Why would it do that?
Well, he can't consolidate into another Toad whilst the extra monster zone is filled up.
Of course, yeah.
But he did have the option to make a link summon with the Toad and one of the frogs into a Mistar Boy. He'd get the Toad effect when it hits the grave to add back a water, and then he could make another Toad behind it. But instead opting for the more passive play, saving the Swap Frog for future turns. See Alistair coming down again here. If there's no response to the effect of Alistair here, Jamie might find himself in a difficult position. Okay, he does use the effect of Toad. I was worried that he might have forgotten that he wouldn't be able to respond to the invocation with Meltdown on the field. Toad triggers, gets back one of the Ronin Totems. And here comes the 1-off Pot of Desires from Davian.
I will repeat my favourite ever quote that I heard from somebody that was playing Pot of Desires. Asked a friend to look at it because he didn't want to look. He said, "How bad is it?" And the friend looked down to him and just said, "How does one drive with no engine?"
Well, at this point, most of Davian's engine is already in the graveyard, so he'll just be looking to keep floating those ABC monsters, get the Buster Dragon, and maybe it will carry him home. It all depends largely on what trap cards Jamie's sat on at this point.
Ooh, what did he draw into there?
You see a hanger and a set rotation. Not the strongest at this point.
We have the Banished. He got rid of all 3 of his Solemn Strikes, which weren't massively helpful. A Dimensional Barrier, a Solemn Warning, his Prohibition. Oh wow, he's basically...
Was the Prohibition sided in then?
Yeah, it looks that way, yeah, but he unfortunately just banished it. Ghost Ogre and an Ash Blossom was also banished during that. That was...
He's just past turn there with a Beyond Field. Does he not have access to all 3 pieces of Buster Dragon at this point?
By Dim Barrier?
That is a Dimensional Barrier. Curious as to why we didn't see a ABC Dragon Buster that turn. He has the C engrave from being attacked over last turn. Has the A, has the B on field.
He's made a couple of misplays that you've caught so far. I'm wondering, it's possible that it's the fact that he's just on stream as well.
It could be the pressure of the feature match.
Does have a camera pointing at everything that you're doing.
But I know very well that this ABC Invoke deck isn't one that you can afford to miss anything with.
No, with 2 misses that you've got so far, maybe a few more. Could be that Jamie's going to walk away with this.
Yeah. We'll be a bit sad because I hope that we'd be seeing a Game 3.
That would be fun.
The match isn't over yet, and we know we won't see any Exuse monsters coming down this turn thanks to the Dimensional Barrier. The B Buster Drake has 1800 defense, so a Mistar Boy would be able to attack over it. But whether or not Jamie thinks it's worthwhile investing his resources in that play, who knows?
He's thinking about it. Maybe just admiring the artwork on the cards.
Yep. He goes to his extra deck here.
And there's the Mistar
Boy coming out, and that will be able to clear out the B. Now the effect of Deep Frog here won't be able to trigger because the last thing to happen was the Link Summon. That's not right. I should miss the timing. In just the same way that if Duke Frog is used for Synchro Summon, the last thing to happen wasn't the Duke Frog leaving the field, it was the monster being summoned from the extra deck. And so the when you can effect of Duke Frog should not be able to be activated here.
There we go, as you can see the judge is just arguing the case there.
Jamie claims innocence. And we see Swap Frog special summon from the hand. So we could see multiple Mistar Boys hitting the board here, and obviously their effects will stack up on each other and start pushing through some real damage.
And now only 2,700 life points could very well see the game end this turn.
Absolutely. So a second Mistar Boy would put both of them at 2,400 attack, and even just flip summoning the Alistair would be able to put through enough damage unless the set card for Davian is relevant interaction here.
Here we go.
But I suspect it might be the set rotation that we saw drawn off the Pot of Desires.
Does sound about right. Now we're getting through an image of the banished cards that Jamie just banished with Pot of Desires there. It's a Storming Rare Force. I believe that's a Morella.
I don't expect it to make a great deal of difference at this point, because unless Jamie has missed some obvious line here, I think the game is about to be closed out very quickly.
Yeah, but there's the
Flip summon. Yeah, he doesn't even need to consolidate into the second Mr. Boy.
No,
just attacking with the creatures already on the field will be enough. Ronin Totem swings in for 700, Swap Frog for 1500, and Alistair for 1000.
And there's the handshake.
That's game over.
Game over. So let's talk a little bit more about that in our post-match discussion. So another 2-0 game.
Yes.
Yes, it's been.
And unlike the previous ones that we've seen, I think that might have been a loss on the hand of the player rather than the cards that were drawn.
Yeah, there was a few plays that Davian could have gone down, and then probably should have gone down to be able to survive those games. It's unfortunate, but as you say, he is on stream. He could have missed it just simply because of that, you know, and I don't know.
Sometimes the pressure gets to you.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. Being on camera, in front of thousands of people.
Well, maybe not quite thousands, but
yeah,
at least two.
At least two. At least two. So yeah, really nice to see frogs doing something.
Yes.
I absolutely love the jumpy guys. Definitely love Toadie Awesome. Definitely love all of the anything that's got puns in it. I generally like the deck. I'll be honest with you. If I can make fun with the deck, I'm always happy to do it.
No love for the alphabet then.
I learnt the alphabet,
okay.
so we're good with that. I don't need that anymore. But yeah, it would have been. We saw some massive plays coming from the ABC deck, though. There was some really impressive stuff going on.
Really seemed to be in a commanding position. Like, I didn't expect that to be turned around.
And then it was.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll be able to speak shortly to Jamie.
Yep, we'll have a chat with Jamie in an interview in a moment. So we will be back very soon.